I knew the second I hit go live, I'd have little feet coming upstairs. We're going to read A Change of Tide, chapter 24. Will we have random people saying mom in the middle of it? Absolutely. Not right now. I'm busy doing stuff. Go away. So let's just get started. Chapter 24. Why are we doing live today, by the way? Because I felt like it. That's why. No, there was no notice. No, you didn't miss a post. I was like, why not? Let's do it. So here we are. Chapter 24, December 29th. Saturday, December 29th. We're off to a great start. December 29/08. Emma and Nikki are meeting me at the Cove. Well, the parking lot. I told them to bring their suits. I figure they should see me as a mermaid before game day so they don't freak the day of. I'm also planning on calling my uncle. I figure if they're with me, I won't be alone when I meet this potential weirdo. Plus, they can teach me whatever they know while we wait. In other news, I saw Wyatt again today. He's doing a lot better than last night. I could only hang with him for a few minutes, but he was at least up the whole time. He asked what I did yesterday. I told him I spent the day at the library. I decided not to tell him I'm helping Emma and Nikki. I don't think agitating him in his current condition would be a super good idea. Not for his health or mine. Nelly shoved her journal under the seat, grabbed her duffel bag, and hopped out. Nikki had parked right next to Nelly's truck. Emma, who had ridden with Nikki, was pulling a bag out of Nikki's back seat. "Ready?" Nelly said as she locked up. "Almost." Emma struggled to get the bag between the driver and passenger seats. Allow me," Nikki said. She opened the side door and took the bag from Emma, pulling it outside. "Thanks," Emma said sheepishly, getting out of the car and closing the door. "This way," Nelly said. The girls followed Nelly down the twists and turns and took the small hike down to the cove. They didn't talk much along the way. Nelly had told them earlier of her plans when she had asked them to meet her in the parking lot. All three girls were nervous about what the day might bring. "Is that the place?" Nikki asked. They were still a minute or two away from being in the cove, but they were starting to catch glimpses. "Yeah," Nelly said, watching where she stepped. "It's beautiful," Nikki said. After a few minutes, the three stepped into the clearing that was the cove. The ocean was glassy and a beautiful turquoise, the sun's reflection sparkling brightly on its surface. "Now," Nelly said nervously as she dropped her bag into the sand, "one thing I need you to promise me is to never, ever tell anyone about this place. It's a family secret." Nelly looked at the girls. "From my dad's side," she added. "Your family has insanely cool secrets," Nikki said, still looking around and soaking up the views. "So, do you guys promise?" Nellie asked, chewing her lip. "Of course," Emma said. "We wouldn't want this place trashed or covered in towels and beach umbrellas." "Nikki?" Nellie asked. "Count me in," Nikki said. "It's like Emma said. We want to preserve this place." "Thanks." Nellie breathed her relief, chuckling. "I guess you two know something about keeping secrets, huh?" "Just a bit." Nikki grinned at Nellie. "Are you going to call your uncle?" Emma asked. "Yeah," Nellie said, "but I want to show you guys what I look like as a mermaid first." "Oh," said Nikki, elongating the one syllable. "That's why swimsuits." "Got it." "Exactly." Nellie took off her t-shirt and shorts, revealing her black bikini top and a hot pink bottom that she'd gotten for Christmas from Joe. "I figured if you see me now, then when all the crazy stuff goes down, if I have to change, you won't be shocked to see what I look like as a mermaid. You won't be so shocked to see what I look like as a mermaid. You'll forget to, I don't know, do whatever it was you were doing before," Nellie said quickly. "Good plan," Emma said, beginning to pull her own clothes off as well. After stripping down to their swimsuits, Nikki and Emma followed Nellie into the water. But as they got closer, Nellie stopped them, glancing at Emma's cast. Can you get that thing? Can you get in the water with that thing?" "We got the waterproof kind," Emma said, tapping it with her knuckles. "Oh, good," Nellie said. "Well, I'll change and wave you in." Nikki and Emma watched as Nellie ran and dived into the water. There weren't many waves today, and the ones that came were small. "Have you read anything about mermaid magic?" Nikki whispered to Emma quickly. "I've been rereading everything I can find. I brought everything I didn't already give her with me," Emma said, gesturing to her bag. "Good," Nikki said, "because I don't know anything about mermaid magic." "There she is," Emma pointed with her cast-covered hand. Nellie waved at the girls. She was a good 7 yards from where Emma and Nikki were standing on shore. "Let's go meet a mermaid," Nikki said, and dived into the water. It was cold and biting. She was glad she'd worn her one piece, but wished it was much thicker. The two girls swam out to where Nelly was. "Do you want to float here or go over to that rock?" Nelly asked, pointing to the rock where she and Joe had been not too long ago. "Rock," Emma spluttered. She'd never admitted it out loud, especially living in California. But she hated swimming. She did it purely as a necessity for survival, nothing more. The girls swam over to the rock, Nelly gliding easily, Nikki trying to coordinate her arms and legs to be most efficient, and Emma merely trying to avoid drowning. Nikki and Emma scrambled onto the rock to avoid being smashed up against it. Goosebumps flared across the two until Nikki found a sopping bit of driftwood and made a small magical fire. "So," Nellie said, "what do you think?" She did the same kind of shallow somersault she had done for Joe and ended by floating completely on the surface of the water. "If I hadn't seen your tail, I'd have said you didn't look much different from before," Emma admitted. "Aside from being wet, obviously," she added. "That's what Wyatt said when I showed him. He didn't even believe me until he looked closer." Nellie swam closer to the two girls huddled on the rock. "He's known me my entire life." So he was able to pick up on some of the more subtle differences. I have to take his word they're there since I've never brought a mirror out here when I change. Other than knowing my skin changes color thanks to being able to look at my arms, and that I obviously grow a tail and my hands are weird, she said, holding up her hand while closing and spreading her fingers to display the webbing. I have no idea what I look like right now. Joe said it's cool and she hopes she'll be able to change also. I know my eyes change from blue to green, but am I hideous? As the words tumbled out, Nellie realized that what she looked like as a mermaid really mattered to her. She'd always been the sort of girl who didn't really think too much about what she looked like until she did. "Are you crazy?" Nikki asked, eyes wide. "You're gorgeous." "I totally understand the siren thing now." "Siren?" Nellie asked. "They're supposedly mermaid-like creatures in Greek mythology who used their good looks and beautiful voices to drag sailors down to the depths to their dark and watery graves," Nikki explained, waggling her eyebrows. "So killer mermaids?" Nellie asked. "Technically, yeah," Nikki said, shrugging and shoving her dripping braid back. "Thanks for that," Nellie said, rolling her eyes. "I just meant you're a total babe, and I get why sailors would follow the mermaids into the water. It never made logical sense before, but I get it now," Nikki said. "If you were creepy, no way would a sailor willingly abandon ship." Nellie laughed. Emma shivered and scooted closer to Nikki's fire. "You should call your uncle. We'll meet you back on shore to start some training while we wait." "Actually," Nellie said, playing with a floaty bit of algae growing on the rock, "I might need some help figuring it out. It's in code, and I don't know what it means." "We'll meet you back on shore then and try to sort it out," Emma said, splashing back into the water. "Thanks," Nellie said, moving to avoid being landed on. Nikki put out the magical fire before she jumped back in. As the three girls swam toward shore, Nellie barely swam at all to give the other two plenty of time to make it to shore before her. After changing back into a human, putting her bikini bottoms back on, Nellie joined the girls on the beach where Nikki had built another magical fire. "So, where's the code?" Nikki asked, toweling off her now loose hair. "Here," Nellie said, pulling the journal out of the bag along with a metal cake pan. "What's the cake pan for?" Nikki asked, squeezing handfuls of thick black hair in the towel. "It's a mermaid journal," Nellie started to explain. "Just a second and I'll show you." She walked down to the beach, filled the pan with ocean water, and walked carefully back to where the girls were sitting. "It only opens in water." Nellie put the journal in the cake pan that was now resting in the sand. The book sprang open. "That is cool," Nikki said, tying her hair into a bun at the top of her head. Rebraiding it now would be a nightmare. "I love magic," Emma said, scooting closer. Nellie searched through the journal, and after a few minutes, she found the page. "Here," Nellie said, pointing to Nikki and Emma so she could see exactly what she was referencing. "It's in English," Nikki said, shocked. "Yeah," Nellie said, puzzled. I just, I thought it was going I just thought it was going to be in some kind of mermaid language, or at least Danish, since that's where Ron's family was from." Nikki frowned. "I mean, it's nice. It's in English, just surprising." "I guess I never really thought about it," Nellie said, shrugging and pulling her blue surf club sweatshirt over her head, still covering her damp top. "She wrote it a long time ago," Emma said. "Maybe at the time the mermaid hunters, if there were any, didn't speak English. So English was the safest language to write directions in. Yeah, I don't really know, Nellie said, shrugging again. Look, here's the part we need to figure out. The three girls looked at the words scrawled across the pages. The directions on calling one of our tribe has been written in verse, so only one who can call herself mermaid will understand and complete. With the eyes of their mothers, the water children see. With the smiles of their fathers, the sea children call. Protection is placed at the joining of all. The children of the ocean tread not with 2 feet. The children of the ocean swim with grace of degree. Not one turns up a grain of me. The children of the ocean must be ever grateful. The children of the ocean must be ever deep. The power of the ocean is theirs to keep. The children of the sea may call upon family. The children of the water may call upon peers. Each who works this riddle may call all spheres. Nikki started to speak. Maybe it means, I know this, Nellie said slowly, as if she just realized it. I thought you needed our help, Nikki said, a bit taken back. I thought I did. I mean, I probably still do, but I didn't really read it before. I just saw a poem and figured I'd need help because I suck at poetry. But my mom used to sing this to me. Any idea what it means? Emma asked, huddled under a towel. I don't know. I don't remember, Nellie said. She reread the first verse, mouthing the words as she went. Eyes of their mothers, smiles of their fathers, Nellie repeated. It's how we communicate, like from the very beginning when we're small, Nikki said. We use our eyes and our mouths, though admittedly our mouths a lot more, but maybe it's saying this is a way to communicate? Maybe, but I think there's more, Nellie said, rubbing her chin. I remember my mom telling me a bedtime story about eyes and a smile. Do you remember the actual story? Emma asked. Give me a second. Nellie closed her eyes. It wasn't just the smile and the eyes in the story, she said as the story came back to her. The whole poem was part of the story. It was about a little lost mermaid who needed to find her way home. A seeing witch told her the poem and told her to look into her heart and she would find a way. Is that all you remember? Nikki asked. A seeing witch? Emma asked. Nellie grumbled. I don't know. I just remember that's what my mom called her. She rubbed her eyes, willing herself to travel back in time, to be in her bedroom, in her bed, her mom sitting next to her, telling her the story. I can't believe this. It used to be my favorite story, but I haven't thought about it in ages. Do you remember how it started? Emma asked. Once upon a time, like all the best stories do, Nellie said, smirking. Try to tell us the story, Emma suggested. Pretend you're hearing your mom tell it to you, and now you're telling it to us. Oh, what have I got to lose? Nellie muttered. Okay, so once upon a time, there was a little mermaid. Her name was Jo. Nellie smiled. I remember I told my mom she could name this mermaid Jo because all the other mermaids were named Nellie. Cute, Emma said, grinning. How did Jo get lost? Nikki asked. She was playing with her seal friend. They played too far away from the Sea King's kingdom, and they got lost. There was a storm, and the two of them were separated, Nellie said, the story flooding back. The mermaid wandered for days, completely lost and totally scared. On the 5th day, she found a cave and decided to sleep there. But when she went inside, she noticed it was a pool, like it wasn't totally underwater. But there was this big air pocket. She could see a ring of rock above her. The mermaid went cautiously to the surface, remembering all the horrible stories she'd been told about mermaids who ventured too close to humans. She poked her head up out of the water just enough to look around. There was a woman in the cave on the dry part. She asked the mermaid if she was lost. The mermaid was surprised she could understand her. Nellie stopped. What's wrong? Emma asked. I can't remember what comes next. Was the woman the witch? Yeah, I think so, Nellie said, standing. Just give me a minute. Nellie started pacing, trying to map out what her room looked like back then, visualizing every detail. She hoped that maybe, if she could take herself back there, she could remember being 7 years old again, listening to her mother tell her the story. Nikki and Emma kept silent, not wanting to derail any train of thought with which Nellie might be traveling. Emma huddled closer to the fire while Nikki used little twigs to make holes and lines in the sand. After a few minutes, Nellie looked at them. I think I remember. She kept pacing. The woman was sitting down, cross-legged, with a clear, empty bowl in front of her. She asked the little mermaid if she was lost, and the mermaid said she was. There was something about how the mermaid felt she could trust the woman, and then the mermaid asked if the woman knew the way back to the Sea King's kingdom, but she didn't. The woman asked the mermaid if she would do her a favor. When the mermaid asked what the favor was, the woman pointed to the clear bowl and asked the little mermaid to fill the bowl with water. The little mermaid asked why the woman didn't just fill the bowl with the water of the pool, but the woman said she needed mermaid water made by a mermaid. It was the only way her spell would work. Nelly sat down. Nikki and Emma listened intently, both searching for clues in the story. When the mermaid heard the word spell, she asked if the woman was a witch. Nelly continued. The woman said she was and told her if she would fill the bowl, she could tell the mermaid how to get home. The little mermaid was so homesick, she agreed. The witch moved the bowl near the edge of the pool, and the little mermaid held onto the edge of the bowl, her fingertips on the inside of the bowl. The mermaid closed her eyes, and water came pouring out of her fingertips. And when the bowl had been filled almost to its maximum capacity, the mermaid opened her eyes, released the bowl, and floated back to the center of the pool. The witch thanked the mermaid and put her own hand in the bowl. The witch floated, not touching the ground, and then the witch said she would keep her part of the bargain. She told the mermaid to listen closely. Then the witch sang. Nelly had lost herself in the story, feeling as though her mother was telling the story through her, rather than telling the story herself. Nelly sang a delicate and haunting tune, singing the words from the poem that the three had read earlier. When the song was over, Nelly sat quietly. Do you remember any more? Emma asked softly. Nelly shook her head. It's just a song, over and over again in my head. She felt a tear running down her cheek and wiped it away quickly, hoping no one had seen it. Should we look at the words of the poem again? Nikki asked. It's no use without the story, Nelly said and groaned. I don't know how I know, but the story is important. The story is how we understand the poem. Let's take a little break, Emma suggested, digging through her bag. I brought snacks. She pulled out sandwiches and mandarin oranges. I thought this might take some time, she added. Me too, Nikki said, pulling out some more supplies from her bag. After they had each eaten a sandwich and toasted a marshmallow, Emma toasted one for Nelly, who was still busy concentrating. The girls decided at least to get some training in since they had been so far unsuccessful at decoding the poem. Do you want to know what I think? Nikki asked, peeling her mandarin orange. She had been offering suggestions as to what she thought the poem meant, but each time her ideas had been rejected. What? Nelly asked before taking a swig from her water bottle. I think it might not have anything to do with the story. Nikki popped an orange segment in her mouth. I mean, what if your mom didn't know you were going to get Ron's journal? She said. What if she told you the story to help you remember the poem in the first place? No, Nellie said. Not that that's not a good idea, she added quickly, seeing Nikki irritated by another dismissed notion. But my mom knew I was going to get the journal. She's the one who gave it to my dad to give to me. Do you remember any other parts of the story? Emma asked. Not necessarily in order, but just other parts of the story. There's a poem, Nellie said absently. I don't remember all of it, but there's no way Jo would. She was too little. What do you remember? Emma asked. Something about true and heart, and Nellie shook her head and then ran her fingers through her hair. Why hadn't I paid closer attention? You couldn't have known, Emma said. It was just a children's story. Yeah, I guess, Nellie said, glancing at Ron's journal, still open in the cake pan. As her eyes scanned the words for what felt like the millionth time, something clicked. Oh my gosh, I'm such an idiot! She smacked her palm on her forehead, exclaiming, I don't know why I didn't see it before. See what? Nikki asked, leaning over to look at the pages, expecting to see something new. What happens after the witch is gone? Emma asked. My mom would describe the mermaid, Nellie said, shaking her head and standing as she pulled her sweatshirt off again. So what? Nikki asked, watching Nellie chuck her sweatshirt. So I know what to do, Nellie said, grabbing the journal, which, upon leaving the water of the cake pan, snapped shut. She ran to the water, diving in head first, journal held in both hands. In the water, Nellie realized she'd shredded her brand new bikini bottoms without even thinking about it. Good thing she always had a spare pair in her duffel bag. Nellie dived right down to the ocean floor and opened the journal. How could she have been so blind? Her mother had been giving her the answers every step of the way. With the eyes of the mothers, the water children see. Nellie read the first line of the poem. With the eyes of their mothers, the water children see. Nellie read the first line of the poem. Nellie put a finger in between her temple and the corner of her left eye, just as her mother had done when Nellie was just a little girl. The little mermaid had beautiful eyes, Melinda said, putting a finger by young Nellie's eye. Melinda's brown hair was piled on top of her head in her usual messy bun. Her green eyes glittered as she watched her daughter. Eyes like mine? Nellie asked, giggling. She was 7, and this was her favorite bedtime story. Fairy lights twinkled around her room, which was painted in soft pinks and purples, decorated with butterflies and glow-in-the-dark stars. Oh, no, Melinda said. Your eyes are much prettier. And what do pretty eyes mean? Pretty eyes mean a good soul, just like the ocean, Nellie said, beaming at her mom. Very good, little Hafru. What next? Nellie prodded, even though she knew what came next. The little mermaid had a beautiful smile. Melinda moved her finger from near Nellie's eye down her cheek and rested it near the corner of the little girl's mouth. And a pretty smile means a kind voice, Nellie said solemnly, as if this was sacred information. Yes. What do pretty eyes and a beautiful smile mean? Melinda asked. We need to protect our ears from the bad things that want to make our eyes sad and our smiles frown, Nellie squeaked. Like the witch, she added, pointing to a copy of The Wizard of Oz on her bedside table. Exactly, Melinda said. How do we protect our ears? Our hair! Nellie pulled her long, dirty, blonde locks over her ears, crisscrossing the handfuls of hair under her chin. Melinda laughed. Then the little mermaid was thankful. Huh, Mom? Nellie said. She was, Melinda said. How does a good little mermaid show her thanks? She shakes hands. Nellie pretended to shake her own hand. She looked suddenly puzzled and asked, Is that why Dad shakes people's hands? Because he's thankful to them? Nellie asked. He's thankful for the experience of meeting them, Melinda said. Even when they're not nice? Even when they're not nice, Melinda confirmed and tickled Nellie, who giggled. When the two had settled down, Melinda said, Do you remember what comes next? The little mermaid was deep like the ocean. And what does that mean? That she was gentle and strong, Nellie said, lifting her arms up to 90-degree angles to show off her minute muscles. Look at those strong arms, Melinda said, laughing. How did she show she was strong? She was a mermaid, Mom. All mermaids are strong, Nellie said, putting her hands on her hips. Her tone suggested this particular piece of information was common sense. How do you know? She swam really fast. Nellie undulated her little hand as fast as she could, shooting it past her face. Whoa, careful, Melinda said, smiling. You're right. She swam really fast to get home. She met some strangers on her way back to the Sea King's kingdom, Melinda said, continuing the story. The memory faded from Nellie's mind. It was a happy memory, but it was sad, too. She had recalled enough to allow her to figure out the poem, but then the memory stopped. Nellie smiled and reread the first stanza. Thanks, Mom, she whispered as she plucked a hair from her head and tied the hair to the end of her tail stalk, the part right before her fin forked. Nellie looked at the second stanza. She never received any instruction for this part. None of it sounded familiar. She sunk to the ocean floor with a small thud, sending clouds of sand floating all around her. Duh, she said, rolling her eyes as she looked at the sandy fog. She stayed still until the sand had settled. While she waited, she reread the second stanza. The children of the ocean tread not with 2 feet. The children of the ocean swim with the grace of degree. Not one turns up a grain of me. It had something to do with sand. But what about sand? I should have paid more attention in English, Nellie grumbled. She thought about why she would need to not stir up sand. No way, she said as an idea floated through her head. Could it be that simple? Deciding to just try her idea, Nellie floated above the sand and, using her finger, wrote a message. Uncle Henry, this is Nellie. We need to talk. Meet me at the cove. Pronto. Nellie surveyed her work. It was legible, and the content, while not much, was clear. At least she thought so. She reread the rest of the poem and chewed her lip. Not wanting to risk losing the journal, she decided to bury it in the sand a little ways off and mark it with a rock. After taking a few deep breaths, she knew it was time to try this out. Something you should know about Nelly is that she's never been afraid of failure. This served her very well in life. Just as she told Ethel, she was always quite good at learning through trial and error, which usually involved a lot of error. So, as Nelly swam in a circle around the message, careful not to turn up a grain of sand, thoughts of failure did not plague her like they may have worried you or me. She knew if this didn't work, then she'd simply keep tweaking things until it did. Grateful, Nelly muttered, clasping her hands together, shaking them. All the while she kept swimming in her circle. And strong. She took a deep breath and sped up. She swam faster and faster, her hands clasped, shaking. Nelly thought of the few pictures she had seen of her uncle. Come here, buddy, and hoped it would be enough. May call upon family or peers. Hey, 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 hey. Come here. It's okay. Come here. Not so loud. Hey, 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 hey. Not so loud. Not so loud. Hey. Okay. Shh. Hey, not so loud, please. Nelly said, thinking, may call upon family or peers. Nelly said, thinking aloud. Her family and peers were toward the shore, but the one family member she was trying to contact was out. What's wrong? Did you bonk?
You tipped me over on the couch and then you made me fall through the place we were supposed to walk.
Are you okay? Was it an accident?
No.
Did she do it on purpose? She was trying to hurt you? Was she trying to hurt you? Oh. Well, go tell Julia to come here then. Why do we never go live here? Oh, I remember. Leave that alone, please. I know. Her family and peers were toward the shore, but the one family member she was trying to contact was out in the ocean somewhere. Nelly swam around the circle a few more times and then stopped suddenly, facing the open ocean, arms spread. She gave a great kick with her tail. She felt a burst from behind her, move through her and out into the ocean like a shockwave. Please leave that alone. When she swam back to where she had written her message, it was gone. Gone also was the little hair she had tied to her tail. Hopefully that means it worked, she said to herself. 29 December 2008. Mermaid magic is fascinating. I don't dare write anything specific down, but I will say I had a long and exhausting day at the beach today. Nikki and I taught Nelly a bit about meditating, and she told us about stopping water on the night of the earthquake, so we used her cake pan and tossed water at her. She was able to stop it several times. I warned her she'd probably be sore tomorrow morning, but she assured me she's known all kinds of sore thanks to her surfing career. I have to admit, things are going much better than I had anticipated. I only wish we had more time. We're going to make the most of the time we have, which is only 2, maybe 3 days. Emma spread out on her bed. Training Nelly was much harder than she had expected. Her arms were sore and her body begged for sleep, but it was 8:30. She knew if she went to bed now, she'd be waking up every hour on the hour starting at 2 o'clock in the morning. She sighed and sat up. Stretching her arms, she walked into the kitchen. Emma decided to find a plastic bucket she had said she'd bring for training with Nelly tomorrow. Of course, the last time she remembered using it, she had been 12. Emma wandered around the house for a bit, thinking and looking. Rochelle, Emma called. Do you know where the plastic bucket is? No answer. Rochelle? Emma looked for signs Rochelle was home. Her keys weren't on the ring, and her bright pink hand-knitted handbag were nowhere to be found. Half wondering where Rochelle was, half wondering where the bucket was, Emma went into the hallway. She grunted, throwing her head back in frustrated exhaustion, which was when she noticed the ring that opened the attic stairs. Emma had forgotten they had an attic. She visited it so rarely. Emma often forgot they had an attic. She visited it so rarely. After grabbing a chair to stand on, she pulled the latch down that hung from the ceiling, exposing the stairs. A cloud of dust descended on her, making her cough as she moved the chair. She climbed the stairs and felt her way around in the dark, musty room for a light. Flipping the switch and shining a dull yellow light over the attic, Emma searched through the room for her bucket. She walked past the boxes she knew contained letters, photographs, and small keepsakes. Those boxes were all labeled Amy, Mom, Emma whispered, letting her hand rest on these boxes for a minute. It had been several years since she had passed. Emma breathed out slowly and moved on, shuffling her way through a few old hula hoops, dolls, and a couple of other toys from her childhood, but no bucket. Deciding to call the bucket lost, Emma made her way back toward the staircase. She bumped into a few boxes and scratched her shin on something sharp. Emma looked down at her shin and then around for the culprit. That was when she saw the old music box she had gotten for a birthday ages ago. I forgot about you, she said, picking up the music box. She carried it under one arm as she descended the stairs. Emma closed the staircase, letting it disappear back into the ceiling, fully camouflaged once more. She glanced at her shin again under better light. The scratch hadn't broken through the first layer of skin. Sighing, Emma went back to her room. It had been a long, albeit rewarding day. She needed rest, especially if she was going to be of any use tomorrow. Emma focused on breathing deeply and mindfully as she moved a few knickknacks on top of her dresser to make space for the music box, sliding it carefully into the space. Emma smiled at the box, remembering her 6th birthday when her mother had surprised her with it. It used to open and play a lovely melody, but after Emma had moved in with Rochelle, she found it no longer opened. Her thoughts danced between mermaid magic, music boxes, and her mother as she crawled into bed. December 29, 2008. Trained with Nelly today. It went well. She contacted a merman, whatever. She hopefully got in touch with her uncle today. At least she sent out a message. I'm hoping this time around I just have to lend my power. I don't think I can master water magic in 2 days. But I guess if I have to, I can try. Hopefully, having a mermaid on our side will take care of that for us. I guess as long as we save people, it doesn't matter whose magic does the work, right? Nikki's back was stiff. She stood and stretched. It was nearly 10, and she knew she should go to bed, but her mind was still much too awake to sleep. After quietly changing into her most comfortable pajamas, Nikki took her spellbook and one of the many books she was borrowing from Ethel into the kitchen. She scooped out some salted caramel swirl ice cream for herself and headed into the dining room. As she opened the book, she realized it was far too dark to read. Nikki ate a bite of the cold, salty sweet treat as she considered her options. Not wanting to turn on the light and possibly alert Margaret, Nikki decided to practice a bit of magic. She focused on the vanilla-scented candle in her bedroom atop the dresser. Closing her eyes and raising her hand, Nikki envisioned the candle floating a few inches off the dresser. She pictured it floating through the door, out of the hallway, through the kitchen, and into her outstretched hand. She felt a soft thud and opened her eyes. It was the candle. She had done it. She clenched her jaw to keep from shouting her excitement. Nikki inhaled deeply to calm herself. With an exhale of that calm breath, Nikki lit the candle and began reading the book she had borrowed from Ethel, a record of prophecies made by the high priestess, the first, Adelina Vates. She alternated between taking notes in her spellbook and eating ice cream. She worked like this for several hours. By the light of the candle, Nikki didn't notice, as she turned from one page to the next, that there was a page in between missing, a page that had been torn out many years before. Dun, dun, dun! I dropped it. Dun-dun. Okay. Sorry about the interruptions, but that is what it's like to be live where I have children and we homeschool and everybody's always home all the time. As you can see, I have been filming other things, which I haven't decided when I'm going to drop that, but essentially it's just me editing. Book 3 is edited. It's all done. I've got a couple of things here that are like, hey, remember this when you're writing book 4 or when you're writing book 5. There's some things, some clues in there. Anyway, so thanks for being here, even though it was literally no one, but at some point someone's watching this, right? So thanks. And you can get the book on Amazon. I'd post a link, but it will just ignore me and tell me that despite having posted every single week for like 6 months, I'm not validated or whatever it's called, and I can't put in any clickable links in my descriptions. So if you go to Amazon and you search A Change of Tide and you search DC Contour, it will definitely correct my name, Contour. It's not CONTO. You are. No you. No must you. Put it in the quotation marks and it will pull it up. But anyway, A Change of Tide, you can get it on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. But anyway, thanks for being here, and I'll see you guys next week.